So, I have another True Story Sunday. I'm just going to keep going here. And this one is about one of the most, this was one of the most magical moments of my life. I was young, I had no responsibility, or very little responsibility. And I had the Bluesmobile, that was my car. And I had a friend, I still have a friend, who manages Big O Tire. So, plug for Big O Tire. Go there for all your rubber related needs. One day I was coming back. I had just gotten some new, I'd always go down there and be like, Gabe, I burned up my tires again, because I had this cop car. Give me some used, he'd go in the back and he'd find some crappy used tires and he'd just slap them on for me. So I'm driving back from Big O Tires. I'm all by myself. It's the middle of the day. And I remember growing up in Springville that on the outskirts of town there was this racetrack, but they didn't do races there anymore. So I just wondered if it was still there, and so I drove out there to check out the racetrack, and it was still there, but it had those, you know, those big metal arms they put up, and they put a chain around it and they slap a padlock on it so nobody can go in. It was kind of blocking my way in. But I had a push bumper on my cop car, on the Bluesmobile, the fabulous Bluesmobile. And so I just thought, I wonder if I can open that up. And I very slowly just kind of bumped this metal gate with the push bumper on the Bluesmobile. And although there was a chain wrapped around it, there was no lock on it. It was just for looks. And when I bumped it, the gates just burst open, and I was like, I've got to do it. I don't care if I go to jail, I'm doing it. So I took the Bluesmobile out, and I did a very slow lap around the racetrack. And there was still like the pits and bleachers and a little place where the dude waves a checkered flag. All of that was there. And the track was clean. It wasn't overgrown with weeds or anything. So I did like a slow lap, and just to check it out. And then I opened it up and I hauled ass, and I was going sideways around the corners, and then I got out of there because I was sure that somebody was going to call the cops and they were going to come after me. So I was going to try to get out of there before they came. But no one ever came. And later that night, I call all my buddies and I'm like, you guys aren't going to believe this. We have a racetrack. We have our own racetrack. So we all piled in the Bluesmobile and we went down to the racetrack. It was called the Santana Speedway, and we did a couple laps, and I literally, the outside tires when I was finished were just gone. It was like nothing but cord, like steel braided cord on the outside half of the outside tires, and the rubber had melted and just been pushed over to the other side. So I had to go back to Big O Tires and get some more crappy used tires from Gabe. And that just became our magical little place. We kind of, it was all dark, there was no lights. We would go and explore, and like, it was pretty creepy. You'd go into the bathrooms, and you know, there's graffiti everywhere. And you would sometimes we would go there, just the guys. We take some big swigs down there with us, some Slurpees. We just sit in the bleachers and talk about life. You know, when you're with your buddies and you try to figure out the meaning of life, and you just talk about your problems and your job and your girlfriend and all that sort of thing. That was this amazing place to do it, because it was just so uncommon. And no one else seemed to know about it. We never saw anyone else there. We had this whole big magical place to ourselves. But sometimes we would take girls there with us. And we'd get the girls, we'd jam them all in the car, and I'd do a couple laps. And then we'd stop on the finish line and crank up the radio, and just we'd just sit there and have little dance parties with these chicks. And one night, I took a girl there. It was just her and I, because I wanted to get a little frisky in the bleachers, right? I always had this dream of making out with a girl in that thing that was over the racetrack where the guy waved the checkered flag. So it was dark. I take her up there. It's just her and I, and I'm putting all my best single guy moves on this girl. And I put my hand down on the railing, just sort of like relaxing, leaning there, and I noticed, I felt like it was moving, and I was like, oh, what the hell? And it was kind of like vibrating a little bit, and I thought it was like, you know, when you hear like high voltage power lines, there's kind of like a vibrating, buzzing sound sometimes. It's kind of reminded me of that. And even though it was dark, I could still see a little bit, and I looked down, and the railing was covered with bees or wasps or something. They were building a wasp nest on this railing. So it was nighttime, so they were a little bit, you know, drowsy, but they started to get pissed off when I put my hand right on top of a beehive. And so we're up there, this girl and I, and there's this very tiny, very steep ladder. That's how you get up. And these guys start flying around, and I'm like, get out of here! I'm pushing her down the stairs. There's bees! Run for your lives! Your firearms are useless! So she's like taking her sweet time. She's not breaking any kind of speed record getting down this ladder, and I am freaking out because I'm being swarmed by bees. And this I don't know what you call it, this pedestal or whatever, not a racing guy. The checkered flag place was held up, it was like a tripod sort of thing with 3 large poles, and so I just bailed over the side and slid down one of the poles, like a fireman sort of pole, and while she slowly took her time getting down the hill, almost got me killed. But that was Santana Raceway. That was our magical place, and I wanted to go there. I went to where it used to be because I thought maybe I could sneak back on and film this vlog on the racetrack as I tell the story, but it's completely gone. The bleachers are gone, the track has been dug up, so it seems that someone will probably turn it into houses. But so I can't show you it. You know, that was a time in my life when I didn't even own a camera, so we don't even have pictures of it. I hate that about my younger life, that I did all this cool stuff and have no pictures of me and my buddies doing it all. I'm jealous of the younger generation that has a camera on their phone that they take everywhere. But that was the racetrack. I love that place. I wish I could go back there and with a great big frosty root beer and just hang out with my buddies.